At the other end, on wokeness, to use that expression, um, a lot of the stuff, of course, comes out of academia. They train the teachers. It then gets into the classrooms. The National Review recently reported, and I quote, millions of parents across the country are fighting back against the spread of critical race theory by protesting its presence in the schools. Are you seeing a sort of community-led backlash against this particular form of overreach? Because that's certainly the way that I see it. I think it's starting in Australia. There's a feeling that it really has gone too far, and that in itself, a bit like what you've just described in the military, the overreach, it's gone too far. You finally get a backlash.
In February, I had been very outspoken, as had the British historian Neil Ferguson, as had my other colleague at the Hoover Institution, Scott Atlas, and we were all brought up for inquiry and examination by the Stanford faculty senate, very left-wing, and attacked. That wouldn't happen today, I think, because there was such a backlash against that, and we did not take that line down. And it was such an infringement on free expression that they were trying to enforce upon us. That's just a minor example, but across the board, there are people that are very angry, but they're the people who are always quiet. They follow the rules. They're busy. Their primary concerns are their community, their family, their religion, their traditions. And they don't boycott. They don't cancel people out. And now they're starting to see that these other people do. And they're hijacking their culture. They're hijacking their politics, their social life, their culture. And they're saying, you know what, if I don't speak out, it's going to be too late. And so they are speaking out. That's one thing. And then very quickly, the critical race theory woke movement is inconsistent. It's illogical. It's incoherent. It basically says, according to Professor Kendi, to stop discrimination, you have to discriminate. To stop racism, you can be racist. And it completely gets away from the idea of class. So here, you can be Oprah with $90 million estate talking to Meghan Markle at a $14 million estate, commiserating over your ill treatment, when you have a Mexican-American guy on a forklift in Fresno or a white guy in Youngstown, Ohio, never had anything, but he's less or more privileged because of his skin color. So I think a lot of people say in a multiracial democracy, we don't know who is who. Is it 1/8, 1/4? Is Obama black, or is he half white or half black, or what? So there's all of these inconsistencies that just saying, we're going to draw a line and 70% of you are white and whiteness is evil and 30% are not white. And so you have not whiteness, and people are saying, well, is there such a thing called blackness then? Is there such a thing called brownness? And are you able to be empirical and critique it the way you do whiteness? That is, in blanket and unfair methodologies, stereotyping. You want to go back to that? Because this country in its racist past used to do that about blackness. And so I don't think it's sustainable. And I think a lot of people from a variety of angles are saying, you don't know which race a person belongs to. You don't stereotype people, because we fought that during the civil rights period. We don't want to make race essential to who we are. We were getting to the point it was incidental. Class is the more important thing to worry about as far as lack of opportunity or lack of so-called equity. Now we have, I think there's 17 ethnic groups, mostly Asian, that have a higher per capita income in America than so-called whites. So this thing is starting to fall on its own inconsistencies, the weight of its own inconsistencies. People are getting angry, and I'm a little worried that the backlash is going to be fiercer than anybody imagines, because they've destroyed so many people's lives, and they are so obnoxious and they were so crazy that it's going to get pretty tough. And I think you're going to see a large conservative backlash. I think you'll see it in Australia too. I think you're going to see one of the things that I was surprised at the French, they essentially said to us, and these are the people who gave us the careers of Derrida, Lacan, and Michel Foucault that helped ruin our academy. They said to us, we don't want your import. We don't want wokeness. We're not going to tear down one statue in France. And we're that an American that said that. And so I think a lot of people look at what's going on in America and they're saying, we don't want to import that from America. And there's going to be Americans that are going to fight back against it. And I think they will. I've been surprised because I live in a community that's about 90% Mexican American, how anti-woke that community is. At least the middle class that are citizens and been here in generations, they don't want it. They feel it's racist. They're glad to be out of Mexico. They're very patriotic. They send children right to the Marine Corps combat units. And so they don't want any part of it. It's a very little thin layer veneer elite in the university and law, in the political class, but they have enormous influence, as we said before, because they operate social media, entertainment corporations, Silicon Valley.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you value vital conversations like this one, please like, share, subscribe, and join the conversation.